You mentioned junior ADU does not require a kitchen, but access to a kitchen. But if the room was there and the owner wanted to do it, they could still build a kitchen, a small kitchen in a junior ADU?
Well, you're required to have access to a kitchen, right, but that doesn't limit you to just have one kitchen. If you follow California Building Code, you'll be able to have a kitchen for your main dwelling and another separate kitchen for your junior ADU.
You had to have at least 400 square feet. Is that true?
400 square feet for your ADU, or California Building Code, I think is 350 minimum. But if it's less than 300, 350 square feet, you really can't do much there. You hardly see people trying to submit an application for ADU for usually less than a studio. And a comfortable studio is usually 400, 500 square feet.
If it's on the sewer, you have to have a separate address or not?
This is also up to the city to see how they want to organize different addresses. In some city, they will give you a different number. Let's say you are 123. They'll give you 126, 127, whatever is available on the county's record or the city's record. In some city, if there's a lot more units in that city alone, they give you like a unit A, unit B, or sometimes at half. But also in some city, they don't give you an address. Like West Covina, they don't give you an address for some reason. I don't know when they're gonna start implementing that, but that trickles down to the city, how they wanna organize their address.
You have to have separate utilities.
In most cities here in California, you're not required to have separate meters, but there are a few cities that we work with, the city are requiring you, the ADU needs to have its own meter, but very few city does that.
We've got some old ones up here that are on septic, but at least in North Tustin, they're not allowing us to put more septics in. So somehow you have to tie into the sewer you've got. Are septics allowed anywhere that you know of anymore? Because
Yeah.
that's a cheaper way to go.
That actually trickles down to the city's requirement.
Right.
Different city, they have different requirement because different city, they have different infrastructure when it comes to the sewer system. The project that I'm working on out in Redlands right now, the city doesn't allow 2 septic tanks on the lot. We're trying to build another 1,200 square feet unit on the same lot. The original septic tank no longer capable for 2 units. Therefore, they have to upgrade into a bigger septic tank because that lot is actually really far away to the public sewer system.
Do they have to have solar heating?
You're not required to have solar heating. You are required to have solar patch system if it's a detached unit, but not solar heating.
San Diego allows multiple ADUs on a property. Do you have a list of the cities that allow multiple ADUs?
We haven't went down there in San Diego. Here in Los Angeles County, which we are very, very familiar, there are a few different cities that allows you to not just have one ADU. You can have 2, sometimes even 3. And that plays a big part when it comes to zoning. A lot of these sharp investors, they're looking at these property, they're trying to get property that has a higher potential when it comes to development ADUs, not just one unit, but multiple unit. But this is something I could share with you guys. If your property is in a multifamily zone or the property itself has a duplex, if you have enough space, if it's a R2, R3, let's say you have 2 main unit, you're allowed to have 2 ADUs in most of the cities.
You said we can convert old garages. They have different setbacks. So do ADUs in general have easier setbacks? Mm-hmm. They do.
Great question. No, they do not. California Building Code says your ADU needs to follow your 4 feet setback directly from your property line. I know there's some old houses, they build their garage right at the property line. Well, sometimes even a little bit over the property line. Let's say the garage is non-conforming, meaning that it doesn't have the proper setback. In some city, you are allowed to just convert it, but if you want to add more square footage to the existing garage to make your ADU bigger, because typically a 2-car garage is about 450, 500 square feet, especially the older ones that's detached. If you convert that into an ADU, it's only a studio. A lot of time, if people are going to be sacrificing the garage, well, make it a 2-bedroom. So in some cities, if you want to extend the area, the old garage, you need to follow the new building code, which is you will have to shift that setback in.
As we get more and more ADUs, the parking situation could get a little shaky. That street could be full. Is there any talk from the cities as to how they're going to deal with this?
It is a good question because if I own a house here in Tustin and all of a sudden everybody's building ADU. Where am I going to park my cars? Right? But again, this trickle down to the main issue. It's here in California, rather if it's NorCal, SoCal, we're not running out of space. There's more people coming in. I think here in Orange County, the parking situation here in Orange County compared to out where we're at in Los Angeles is very, very different. The whole reason why California is pushing these ADU builds because we're running out of spaces to build new homes in mature cities, in mature areas. I know whether if it's here in Orange County or out in LA or anywhere here in Southern California, there's a lot of these old houses. They have a garage or they have two garages, but it's all the way in the back. It's detached. People don't park their car in there anyways. So whether if you're doing ADU, junior ADU, or attached ADU, not like single-family home, because if you're trying to develop a single-family home or a multi-unit dwelling, you're required to have multiple parkings. And ADUs, they're okay with you converting your garage. They're okay with you no longer have enough parking on the particular lot itself. In LA County, especially in the city of LA, they pretty much allow you to build without any parking restriction, as long as you're within half-a-mile radius of public transportation.
I understand that the state is dictating that you're going to be able to sell your ADU separately. How are they going to be able to give title insurance on half a lot if they don't have a lot split?
We have the title guy here. Let's have you jump in.
So it would have to be a condo tract plan, and for policy-wise, that hasn't really been dictated yet. We haven't gotten there, but essentially it would have to be a full new tract plan and then new legal descriptions and new APN numbers. So the big complication really wouldn't be with selling it because we could do the sales. It would kind of be like a tenants in common sale where people are doing that already, where they're selling off portions of the property. So we have policies for that. So it would be a similar policy. The real big thing would be like the lender, because if someone has a home, essentially that loan would have to be paid off first before you could sell the rest of the property.
They all kind of vary. Yes, depending on the lot situation, depending on how the city want their ADU to be built. We have done a lot of ADU in the past few years. Most city, they are getting a lot more familiar with the process. So there are some code is a lot stricter, but because in the beginning when we first started, there was a lot of resistance when it comes to turning in these applications. But now that atmosphere has completely shifted. We start seeing these ADU application fee from the city rises. The cities are happy because they're getting these application fees in. They're developing better homes, new homes at mature area. So some of these cities, they start seeing the benefit of ADU. They started to make these processes a lot easier. For LA County, we used to have to wait 7-8 months for our application. I think last month, the fastest one we ever done, it's went 3 months. And it's all through the LA County portal. So no more getting all your plans into the city, but everything is online, digital submittal.
What are some of the typical costs to build the ADU?
Average from all the builders out here in Southern California, not Northern California, the average price here in the market are anywhere from $260 to like $400. Really depending on how difficult the scope of work is. Also really depending on materials, obviously interior finishes. A lot of factors can play in.
What about the zoning? Doesn't this change the zoning? Don't you have to check the zoning before you go through this?
Zoning plays a big part when it comes to ADUs. It tells you how many ADU you can build, or sometimes it tells you if the ADU can be built or not.
So you check this first.
Yes, you definitely have to check zoning.